Hi, my name is Nicholas. Welcome to this week's Hatha practice. A few props that'll be handy for today. I'd suggest having a couple hard blocks and maybe a soft block nearby. We will also do some poses, which I'm going to talk about doing up against the wall. So if you have a empty wall space nearby that you can use, then great. You can also do the same poses on your mat like we would normally, so that's fine as well. And then a little different for today, I'm going to invite you to get started in a forward fold, standing up. If for any reason that doesn't work for you, or if you'd rather start in a seated meditation or lying down or something like that, you're welcome to do that. You can also join in halfway through if that feels better. If you are coming with me to a forward fold, then you might choose to have your blocks nearby just in case the low back point you could come to like a halfway lift shape or something like that. For this first fold, and because we're starting in it, I'll invite you to bend the knees quite deeply, maybe so that you can have the belly and the chest resting on the thighs. And then see if you can let the head go, let it get nice and heavy here. Check in with arm placement. Again, hands can be at props if you like. You can leave them dangling. You can do hands to elbows or interlace behind the head or something like that. So choose whatever feels like you can get the spine feeling really heavy, the head feeling heaviest of all. As you settle into your shape, see if a little movement would help you settle in. So if you want to take a sway of the torso, go for it. If you want to pedal the legs a little bit, help you get into those hamstrings or the low back, then go for that. But whenever you do feel ready to, come and find your stillness in the shape. And take a scan from the feet to the head. Notice everything along the way. And check in with your head space here. See what that feels like. Is it busy or quiet? Notice your breath as well. Does it feel smooth or does it feel effortful? Does it feel choppy? Something else? Just notice without necessarily changing it right now. Awesome. If you have a bind, you can let that go. And then maybe fingertips to the floor or hands to your blocks. Come up to a halfway lift position. And then from here, just take a moment to stretch out the legs. Imagine you're turning your tailbone up towards the ceiling. Find as much length as you can from the heels to the tailbone, and from the tailbone to the crown of the head. Awesome. Now heel toe the feet a little bit further apart, maybe as wide as the mat, and turn the toes out a little bit. Let's start to bend into the knees and we'll come towards a squat. Now, straight away, if you want to use your blocks and make yourself a cushion to sit on, then go for it. Hands don't have to leave the floor. If you want to bring hands to prayer, then great. And take a moment to press the palms together if they are together and see if you can find a little more room across the chest, a sense of length in the spine, and then spaciousness in the whole body. If you need a little more stability around the pelvis, then press the knees into the elbows as well. Awesome. If your eyes are closed, you can flutter them open. We'll bring one hand behind and then the other and lower the bum down to the floor. Once you arrive, pause for a moment, maybe windshield wiper the knees side to side a little bit. Awesome. And then when you're ready, bring the feet flat to the floor. You can scoop the flesh of the bum out of the way. We'll set up boat pose, so you can take hands to the knees here. Take a moment to lengthen the spine, broaden the chest, soften the shoulders. And you can stay exactly here, work with your breath. You can come to tippy toes, or you can play with lifting the shins up. And then one final option to release the arms here. And keep that length going, tailbone to crown. And take a few deep breaths. Awesome. From here, we'll lower down onto the back, so make sure you have room behind. You can either lower the feet first and come down, or if you want a little more challenge, start to extend the legs slowly, start to round the back down to the floor. Awesome. And then once you arrive, roll on to one side. I'm going to start on the right-hand side. And then just make sure you feel comfortable, so you can have the head resting on the floor. If you prefer to take the head in the hand, then go for it. And then we'll bend the knees. Think of that boat pose that we just did. It's a similar shape. So knees are bent deeply, feet are roughly in line with the hips. And then keeping the feet together the whole time, or mostly together, we'll do some clamshells from here. So with an inhale breath, slowly lift that left knee up towards the ceiling, any amount. And as you exhale, you can bring it back down. And then keep going here with your breath at your pace. A little faster, a little slower is fine. Using the whole inhale to lift and the whole exhale to lower. And for those last few rounds, each time you lift the knee, take a brief pause, a brief squeeze at the top. Last 3. Last 1. Awesome. You can stay as you are. You can keep the right leg as it is, but extend the left leg long now. And then flex the foot so that the foot is hovering, the leg is strong and straight. And then inhale breath, lift that left foot up any amount. And exhale, lower back down. 9 more with your breath. Don't worry too much about how high the leg is lifting. Just use the whole inhale to lift it, the whole exhale to lower it. Last 3. Last 1. Awesome. Now bend the left knee, reach back to catch the foot, and then give yourself a little bit of a quad stretch here. Start to hug the left heel towards the bum, and then press the left side of the pelvis forward as well, so you can stretch out that hip flexor a little bit. Awesome. As you're ready, you can let this side go and then roll onto your back for a moment. And bring the knees into the chest and then give yourself a rock side to side. Maybe lifting head up off the floor as well. Maybe a few circles, one direction, then the other. And when you're ready, we'll come down to the second side. So take a moment, make your way onto the left. And again, see what feels most comfortable for the head, neck, and shoulders. Maybe prop yourself up. Deep bend to the knees, feet roughly in line with the hips. And then inhale breath, lift the right knee up and open. And exhale, close it down. Your breath, your pace. Awesome. Now, as you're ready, extend that right leg straight, flex the foot. Inhale, breath lift, and exhale, breath lower. Nice and slow, 9 more rounds. Last 3. Last one. Once you lower, bend the knee, catch hold of the top of the foot. That quad stretch, start to hug the heel towards the bum. Press the right side of the pelvis forward. Take a few deep breaths here. Awesome. Release the side as well. And once again, come onto your back, hug the knees in towards the chest, and give yourself a hug, a rock side to side. And then as you feel ready to, start to rock up and down the length of the spine, mindful of the neck, a few times to massage out the back, and then when you're ready, build up some momentum and come on up. We'll swing the legs around, and then we'll set up for downward facing dog. So you can set the hands roughly under the shoulders, maybe slightly forward, fingers spread nice and wide, and then tuck the toes under, lift the knees, press the hips up and back. And then check in here, maybe a wag of the hips side to side, maybe you're pedaling the legs. Check in with the hands, keep them actively pressing the floor away to help stabilize the shoulders. The head can hang heavy. Awesome. The next time you inhale, come forward to plank pose, and then pause here as you exhale. You're welcome to lower the knees if you want a more supportive version. Otherwise, keep the hands pressing down, keep the feet pressing, keep the backs of the legs long, and then breathe here. Deep inhale, full exhale, and twice more. Last full breath. And stay here, take a deep inhale. And as you exhale, lower all the way down to the belly. Untuck the toes, cobra pose, inhale breath, lift the heart space, the gaze. Exhale, lower down. And twice more. Last one. Now inhale, tabletop. Exhale, downward facing dog. And stillness or movement, take about 5 breaths here. Awesome. When you feel ready to take a deep inhale, lift the left leg up behind you. And as you exhale, step that left foot forward between the hands. And we'll keep the right knee lifted, but if you want to widen your base a little bit, take the left foot to the left. And then look around, see if you can find your props. You can also work from fingertips. And take an inhale breath, bend that left knee deeply, lift the heart space, lift the gaze. As you exhale, send the hips back, front leg extends, and maybe that left foot comes up off the floor. Inhale forward, ground the toes, lift the heart. And exhale, hips back. And flow your breath, your pace. Last couple. Awesome. Inhale breath, come forward, bend the knee, and pause for a moment. So ground that right heel down to the floor, right toes point right. And then with an inhale breath, cartwheel yourself up, and we'll set up warrior two. So find the relationship between front and back foot that feels best here. And you can play around a little, see what feels the most stable. Left foot mostly pointing forward, right foot mostly pointing to the side. And then check in with the pelvis as well. If one side is higher up than the other, see if you can balance that out. Arms reaching, shoulders soft. Gaze wherever feels the most comfortable. And then notice each foot here. Keep them actively pressing to the floor. And keep breathing. Awesome. The next inhale breath, slowly extend that left leg all the way straight, and then pause here for a moment. If there's anything you need to adjust, then go for it. When you're ready, inhale breath, reach forward as far as you can, and then as you exhale, hinge for triangle. So left hand, shin, block, or floor, right hand, hip, up towards the ceiling or anywhere else. And then check in here, find that length, that space for the chest and the shoulders, length from fingertips to fingertips. And breathe into the shape. And for the last couple of breaths, if you want a little more challenge for the core, you can think about making that left hand a little bit lighter. Maybe it's hovering or floating or reaching towards the front. Last 2 breaths. Awesome. Inhale breath, come all the way up. And then pause, you can release the arms. Turn that right foot out slightly. We'll start to bend into that right knee. The left toes can lift up. The hands can find the floor. Looking for a side lunge. So for some people, that right heel needs to lift up, and that's fine if that's you. If you prefer to prop so that you feel a little more stable, then go for it. And now hands don't have to leave the floor here as well, but if you do want to challenge balance a little more, you can think about bringing them up, maybe hands to prayer. And then just mindful of what's happening in the body. Keep that left foot really active, mindful of the knee as well. Awesome. Fingertips can find the floor. Lift the hips just a little, and then crawl yourself back into a lunge facing the front. And from here, with the back toes pressing down, hands pressing down, 3-legged dogs and the left leg in the air. And then when you're ready, left foot can come down. And choose either down dog, choose child's pose, maybe a slow flow if that's part of your practice. And take the next 5 or 6 breaths wherever you need to be. Any rest shape or any restful movement that you like. And when you feel ready to, make your way back to downward facing dog. And once you find your down dog, inhale breath, lift the right leg up behind you. And exhale, step the right foot forward between the hands. Back knee stays lifted, fingertips, fists, or blocks. And again, the option to take the right foot to the right a little bit more. Inhale breath, let the pelvis dip down, lift the gaze. Exhale, hips back, front leg extends, maybe toes lift up. Inhale forward, and exhale back. Your breath, your pace. Last one. Inhale, breath, forward to lunge, and then pause. And spin the left heel to the floor, left toes point left. And your next inhale, come on up, cartwheel the arms, and set for warrior two. Now all the same adjustments, front toes mostly to the front, back toes mostly to the side, but play with that relationship between front and back foot. See what feels the most stable. Are you bending too deeply? Have you lost kind of the stability there? Maybe you need to back out. Find whatever the most appropriate version of the shape is for you today. Arms reach, shoulders soft. Gaze wherever feels best. Awesome. When you're ready, slow inhale, extend that right leg all the way. And then pause, adjust anything that you need to. With your next inhale, reach forward as far as you can. With your next exhale, hinge, and we'll set up triangle second side. So left arm doesn't have to reach up. If you are, then create that distance between the hands. And notice as well, sometimes there's a tendency for that left shoulder to start to dip in towards the jaw. So if you find that happening, see if you can find a little more rotation. Maybe there's a little more room you can find for the collarbone and chest. Notice your feet here, keep them active to the floor, creating stability for the rest of the body. And a strong breath, and if you did so on the first side, then for these last few, maybe think about de-weighting that right hand. All right, strong inhale, strong core, come on up, and then release the arms for a moment. Now you can bring your block with you here, spin the left foot out, and then start to bend into the left knee. Right leg stays extended, and see where you end up for this side. Maybe it needs something different. Again, heel can be lifted or lowered. Hands can be down or up. You can use props as needed. If you are balancing, then maybe hands come up to prayer. Mindful of that right leg as well. Keep it active. Keep that heel pressing down. And take a few deep breaths here. If the hands are off the floor, then bring them down. Lift the hips a little bit and crawl yourself into a lunge and facing the front of the mat. And then plug the hands down, three-legged dog. Send the right leg up and back. And then right foot lowers. All the same options here. Down dog, child's pose, rock pose, and cat-cow, flow. Be wherever you need to be for the next 8 breaths. And if you're in down dog, you can drop the knees to the floor. If you're in child's pose, you can start walking the hands in. Come and join me in a kneeling position. And then here, we'll just do a little setup. So again, if you aren't using a wall today, then that's fine. You can do the exact same poses on your mat. I would suggest having one of your blocks kind of near where the top of the wall is, or going to be. And then from here, we'll just come on up and we'll set it from standing. So we'll start off with extended side angle pose. So you can take your left foot forward and then right foot back, similar like we did for Warrior 2 just now. So again, take a moment and find that relationship between front and back foot that feels the most steady. And I'd suggest giving yourself at least like a couple inches between your feet and the wall, just so that you have room for the rest of the body. Now we'll get right into an extended side angle pose, so you can bring the elbow down onto the knee, maybe that right hand on the hip, take a moment to open the shoulders, find that space for the chest. And then from here, if you like, you can reach the right arm up or towards the front of the room, palm down. And now notice what the pelvis is doing here. Maybe you can even bend into that front knee a little bit further. Awesome. Now from here, one option to stay exactly as you are, you can even take this into a slight lean on the wall, see what that feels like. Or if you want to come with me to half moon, I suggest taking right hand to the right hip first. Look down and find your block, and then we'll position it about a foot in front of that left foot. You might even hop that back foot a little bit closer first, and then start to teeter-totter your weight forward, bringing your balance onto that left foot. See if you can lift that right leg up as high as you can. And now take a moment, really plug that right heel onto the wall behind you, plug your bum onto that wall behind you. Imagine you can lift that left hip and stack it directly on top of the right. Now left hand for support, right arm might reach up, and this too you can gently lean on the wall. Back of the head can lean on the wall. You can turn the gaze up or down and imagine that the wall is holding you here, and take a few deep breaths. Now, if you're doing this without a wall, you may choose to come down whenever you're ready. If you're on the wall, you might stay here for up to 4 more breaths or so. Awesome. When the time comes to come out and there's no rush, you can take right hand to the right hip, slowly lower that right foot back down to the floor, bending that left knee, and then step yourself up to a mountain pose, and we'll pause in between sides. So if anything needs a little shakeout, then go for it. When you're ready, come and find stillness. Whatever distance between the feet feels the most stable for you, take a moment to lengthen the body, the spine, soften the shoulders, lengthen the neck, and soften the facial expressions. And take a moment to check in with the body, notice your 2 sides and where they feel different or similar. When you're ready, you flutter open the eyes. We'll set up for the second side, so if you're using a wall, just take your prop to the other end. And we'll set up right toes pointing forward, left toes pointing to the side. And again, take a moment to set in, find your version of like a Warrior 2. And again, make sure you have a couple of inches from the wall just so you have room for the rest of the body. And we'll set up extended side angle, so you can take the right elbow to the right thigh. Left arm can be up or towards the front with a palm down. Broaden the collar here. Imagine some length, especially through the right side of the torso. Awesome. That same option, you can stay here, you can lean on the wall, or come with me to half moon. Left hand can find the hip. Locate your prop and maybe hop that back foot a little closer. And then start to transfer your weight to that right foot, to the right hand, lifting the left leg up behind you as high as you can, and then plug that heel to the wall behind. Now lean the bum onto the wall, lean the shoulders, the shoulder blades, maybe left arm up as well, and then breathe here. Now up to 5 more breaths if you're using a wall, and you can come down whenever you need to. When the time comes to come out, you can bring the left hand to the hip, maybe look down, and then slowly lower that left foot down, bending into the right knee, and come on up. And we'll find a mountain pose once again. If you need to have a shakeout first, then go for it. When you feel ready, flutter the eyes open, wiggle the fingers and the toes. You can step to the top of the mat if you aren't there already. And from here, take an inhale breath, circle the arms up, and as you exhale, hinge forward, forward fold. A halfway lift, lengthen, and plant the palms and step to plank pose. And stay here for a deep inhale, press the palms and the feet, and stay here for the exhale. Another deep inhale, and exhale. A final one, lengthen, and lower all the way down to the belly. One round of cobra with your breath. And then tabletop as you inhale, back to downward facing dog as you exhale. Now lift the left leg up behind you, deep inhale. As you exhale, guide the left knee just behind the left wrist, left foot over to the right, any amount, and we'll set for pigeon pose. From here, you can start to take that right knee a little further back, check in with the hips, see that they're mostly level, and then mindful of the left knee, ankle, hip, and listen to them. If you need to modify your shape, then go for it. I'll show one alternative as well. And then from here, check in if you need to add some padding somewhere, maybe for that left hip if it's hovering uncomfortably. You can stay upright for the first few breaths. Sometimes adding a little weight to the pelvis can help the hips settle. Whenever you feel ready to fold, then go for it. Maybe you're bringing the elbows down to the floor. Maybe you're coming lying down. If you need to support the head here, if it's hovering uncomfortably, maybe you have a prop nearby you can use. And check in with the body. And sometimes a very gentle rock of the hips side to side can feel good here. So you might choose to do that. You might also play with rocking the head side to side, massaging the space around the eyebrows. And slowly start to walk the hands back in, lifting the torso up. And tuck the back toes under, walk that back foot a little bit closer, close enough that you can lift the knee up, and then step the left leg to the air, three-legged dog. And you can keep the hips level, or you can stack the hips. You could also bend that top knee, see what feels like a good counter stretch. This is also available from a tabletop position. So take a few breaths here, move that left hip any way it needs. Awesome. When you're ready, we'll meet back in downward facing dog. And setting for the second side, inhale, lift that right leg up, and then right knee behind the right wrist, right foot over to the left. Now check in. This side may feel completely different, so it's okay if you need to modify this side or if you need a different shape altogether. And take a moment to balance out the hips here. You can add props wherever you need. The same option to stay upright for the first few breaths, or if you feel ready to, lowering to the elbows, maybe to the chest. And take that check in, especially with the right knee, right hip, right ankle, lower back. Make sure you're finding your pain-free expression of the shape. And if it felt good on the first side, you might explore a little sway of the hips or a little rock of the head. And when you do feel ready, slowly making your way back up, and supported by the hands, tucking back toes under, bringing that left knee a little bit closer. And again, it can be three-legged dog, it can be three-legged tabletop, send that right leg in the air, and give yourself some movement however you need it. Awesome. When you're ready, you can lower both knees down to the floor, hips to the heels, and then you can lower to one side, swing the legs around. Bending the knees, hands to catch them, and lower all the way down to the back. Awesome. And then once you touch down, we'll set up for a twist. If you like to have a prop between the knees, then go for it. And scoot the hips over to the right a few inches, and then you can let the knees lower down to the left. If you like to take the gaze to the opposite direction, go for it. If you like to keep it neutral or same direction as the knees, that's fine too. And then arms wherever feels best. Maybe it's a cactus or a T shape. Maybe one hand or both stay somewhere on the body. Awesome. If your head is turned, then bring that to center first. With a squeeze of the belly, lift the knees back up to center. And then hips to the midline, over to the left a few inches. Knees down to the right when you're ready. Find your arm position, find your gaze point that feels best for this side. And settle in. Awesome. As you feel ready, bring the head back to center. And slowly bring the knees back up to center. Now scoot hips to midline. And then if you're using a prop, you can move it to the side, but we will use it once more here. So from here, press down through the feet, lift the hips just enough that you can slide your block under the bum. And then think more lower bum than spine, so it should feel comfortable. See if you can locate that kind of flat bony space right at the top of the pelvis. And then from here, you can stay as you are in a restorative bridge shape, or if you like, you can start to extend one leg and then the other along down the mat. And again, you might need to adjust a little bit where the prop is here. This should feel like a relaxing and restful pose. If it feels good, great. If there's something you need to modify, go for it. If it feels like you're having to hold your feet in a specific shape, see what it feels like to kind of let the ankles go, let the feet flop however they like. If you like to add upper body stretch too, maybe you're reaching the hands to the floor overhead or hands to opposite elbows. Let the body get heavy here. Keeping that connection with your breath, and with each inhale, finding a sense of space in the body. And with each exhale, softening and letting go of anything you don't need here. And then gently wiggle your toes, release the arms. And from here, start to bend the knees back in. And we'll take legs up pose. If you like to keep the hard block under for support, then go for it. I'm going to swap it out with the soft block. And some people prefer not to have a block at all, and you can even make fists with your hands and have them under the pelvis. But from here, collect the knees in towards the chest, and we'll send the feet up towards the ceiling. If you are using a prop, again, just make sure that it feels comfortable for you. Feet can be together or whatever your comfortable hip distance is. And then arms can reach up as well. If this feels really effortful and you prefer to keep the hands somewhere on the body, then go for it. And then legs don't have to be fully extended, arms don't have to be fully extended, so you can add as much of a bend as you need to make this feel mostly effortless. You can choose stillness here. You can also choose maybe some circles with the wrists and the ankles. And if you haven't changed direction yet, you can change that now. And if you need a little more time here, then feel free to stay. Otherwise, as you feel ready, collect the knees back into the chest. And now separate the knees a little wider, reach through to catch hold of the feet, and we'll set Happy Baby. So you can keep the feet as they are, pointing forward, or turn them up towards the ceiling. If the prop is still useful for you, then keep it. You can also remove it. Stillness, or maybe a rock side to side. You can play with extending one leg and then rebending to extend the other. And take the next 5 or so breaths in any version of a Happy Baby, or if there's a different shape altogether your body's asking for, then feel free to take that now. As you feel ready to gently release the feet here, let them lower down. If you still have a prop under you, you can remove it. And then our next pose from here will be our rest pose, our Shavasana. So find any version of a comfortable and symmetrical shape. And this doesn't have to be on the back either. If you prefer to rest in a seated meditation or somewhere else, go for it. Arms can be by your sides, on the body, overhead. You can use any props here as well. If you need to add an extra layer or anything like that, go for it. If you want to adjust lighting or music or anything like that. And then take your time to get settled in, to get comfortable. And letting the breath return to its natural inhale and exhale. And letting the body get heavy as you settle yourself in. Slowly bring your attention back to the space, deepening the breath to reawaken the body. Adding a little movement when ready, maybe a rock of the head, a wiggle of fingers and toes. As your movements get a little larger, maybe you're wiggling the hips, maybe you're reaching the arms up overhead for a full body stretch. Maybe you're collecting the knees and the chest one last time, giving yourself a hug and a squeeze and a rock. And then when you're ready, you can roll to one side or you can gently rock your way up. And eventually we'll meet in a comfortable seated position, so take your time to get there. If you do need the support of any props or anything like that, then go for it and take your time. And then when you find your seat, take a moment to ground down through the pelvis, to lengthen the spine, to soften the shoulders. Hands can be wherever they've landed. As you find your stillness here, take a moment to check in with the body, with the breath, with the mind, see what's happening. Perhaps collecting the hands in at the heart, maybe bowing the chin towards the chest. And thank you for sharing your practice today. Namaste. Once again, thank you for joining me for practice. And my name is Nicholas. If you have any questions, please reach out and enjoy the rest of your day.